friends, welcome back to my channel, and this is Santosh sir, and in this video we are solving June 2021 MCO-01 paper. Okay, so let's start the solution, and before that I would request you to kindly subscribe the channel and share it to your friends. Okay, fine. See the first question. It says, do you think that organizational structure facilitates in allocation of tasks, reporting patterns, and coordination mechanisms? Discuss its components. So, there are two parts of this question. The first part is of 4 marks, and the second part is of 16 marks. सो यहाँ पे जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर के आपको इम्पोर्टेंस के बारे में लिखना है, जैसे कि मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है, येस आई थिंक दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर हेल्प्स इन एलोकेशन ऑफ टास्क, रिपोर्टिंग पैटर्न्स एंड कोऑर्डिनेशन मैकेनिज्म्स. इसको थोड़ा सा आप और लेंदी कर सकते हो. देन इट एलोकेट्स अथॉरिटी एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. इट स्पेसिफाइज who is to direct to whom and who is accountable, right? Then it helps in reporting patterns by grouping activities and people. Then it helps to coordinate the activities of various departments and subordinates. So this is how you have to write the first part of this question, and the second part you have to write about the components. So what are the components or elements of organizational structure? Now as you can see here, I have drawn a flow chart, and there are 4 main components. What are those? Division of labor, delegation of authority, departmentation, and span of control. Now you can explain these points, right? Because this question is of 16 marks. So this is how you have to write. Let's move on to the second question. Second question actually is divided into 2 parts, right? The first part, why do you study organizational behavior? Illustrate your answer with examples. 10 marks question, right? And I have written the main key important points of this question. Like first one, to understand oneself, okay? अपने बारे में समझना. Then better control. To have a better control on the subordinates, you need a sound organizational behavior. The third one, work spirit and job satisfaction, right? Like work spirit, that means team spirit, fine. Esprit de corps. And job satisfaction, the employee must get satisfaction from what he is doing. Then motivating the employees, creativity and innovation, it should have room for creativity and innovation for the employees. Then effective communication. The communication between the management and employees or subordinates must be very proper and very good, because without this, nothing can be achieved. Then organizational culture. To develop a sound, a beautiful culture in which the employees can prosper and work happily. Then leadership. Okay, the leader should be cooperative and target oriented. Then teamwork, and then mental health. So like this you can define these points. Now let's move on to the next question. This is question number 2, part B. The question says, describe the individual perspective of organizational behavior. OB here means organizational behavior, and how do they facilitate in the growth of the individuals in the organization. Again, this question is of 10 marks, and about this individual perspective, I have written the definition here. It refers to the development of individual skills, attitudes, and organizational behavior. So you can get a brief definition of this individual perspective, and how it helps in the growth of the individuals in the organization. Now I've written here 7 points. First, continuous learning, right? The employees should learn continuously. Then second, right perception. Perception means to use the sense organs. We will study about this in detail in the next video. Then third, positive attitudes and values, fine. And then personality development, stress management, motivation, and job satisfaction. So these are all very easy points. We can write a lot about this with our common sense. So no problem with this. Let's move on to the third question. The third question says, Describe the factors influencing the perception with suitable examples. This is again of 10 marks. And here I have written the definition of perception. Kindly pay attention to this. Perception is a process through which we select, organize, and interpret input from our sense organs. A person receives informations about his environment through seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and smelling. In a nutshell, we can say that we have to use our own sense organs, right, to receive, to perceive information, knowledge. So this is what we do generally. Then again, what are the main factors that influence perception? I have divided this into three factors. The first, factors that affect perceiver, then the factors that affect situation, and the factors that affect target. Now again, you can define all these sub points from this. Like the factors that affect perceiver are attitudes, motives, interest, experience, and expectations. Fine. Now, factors that affect situation are time, work setting, and social setting. So again, you have to write few lines about this. And then factors that affect target. They are novelty, motion, sound, size, background, proximity, and similarity. So in this way, you can explain this answer of 10 marks. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the question number 3, part B. And the question says, how can you develop perceptual skills in the organization? Explain with suitable examples. Again, 10 marks question. And how can we develop this skill? This skill is very important for subordinates. Now, having empathy. Empathy means ability to understand others' feelings and moods, right? Empathy is not sympathy. Both are different terms, so kindly be careful about that. Then second, positive attitude. The employees must have positive attitude towards their work. Then third, self-esteem. In simple words, self-confidence. They should have self-confidence because confidence is very important for for any kind of work that we do, right? Then avoiding common mistakes, common bias. So this is again a very important one. And last one, communication. They should have good communication skills, or even there should not be any misunderstanding between the subordinates and the managers. Okay, fine. Let's move on to question number 4. And the question says, what are the consequences of stress? Very important topic of this MCO-01, stress. And discuss with examples and describe various stressors and related techniques which help in the understanding that the creation of stress-free environment. So again, this question is of 20 marks. The first part of the question is of 14 and the second part 6 marks. Okay. So what are the consequences of stress? I have written here, consequences means results. Okay. Bad effects of stress. Stress is not a good thing. Fine. There are 6 points here. High absenteeism. That means the employees remain absent from their work if they are stressed. Then poor timekeeping. They won't be punctual in their work. They will come to the office late, so like this. Poor performance and productivity. Definitely this will affect if there are absenteeism and timekeeping and the employees are not paying attention to their work. So that will affect their performance. Low morale. They will not feel confident about their work, right? They do not feel the loyalty towards the organization. So that is one of the drawback of stress. Then poor motivation, right? They will not be motivated to work hard. Then health problems. There are many health problems due to stress, like heart problems. Then we have high blood pressure. So like that, there are a lot of problems due to stress. Okay, now let's see what are the important techniques through which we can reduce stress. Now, I have divided this into 2 parts. One is individual stressors and the techniques to reduce them. Okay. First, family problems. If the employees have family problems, how can we reduce their stress? So, the simple technique is family counseling. Okay. The second, economic problems. If the employees are facing financial crisis, financial problems, then the organization must increase the pay scales as a technique of reducing the stress. Then third, personality problems, right? So this can be developed by using the technique personality development programs, which can be organized by the organization. Fine. Then self-esteem problem. If the employees are feeling low, that means their self-confidence is not up to mark, then that can be solved with the help of democratic management. They should given a room, they should give time, okay, and they should participate in the management of the company. So that will make them, confident. Then time problems. If the employees are not punctual, right, they remain absent from their work, so that can be solved by time management. So that's very easy one. Now we can explain these points. Then organizational stressors, like this stress arises due to the structure of organization. What are those role demands? Now this can be solved by redesigning. Then organizational structure, it can be solved by organization structure redesign. Then physical conditions, I mean working conditions, if that is not good, then again the organization can have climate redesign. Then if there are problems in communication between the subordinates and managers, so that can be solved by transactional analysis. So this is how you have to answer these questions. So okay friends, let's move on to the next question. Fine. So question number 5, part A, critically examine Herzberg's two-factor theory of motivation. Now this question strikes in the exams almost everywhere, very important one. So now two-factor theory of Herzberg's, 12 marks question, and these are the two factors. One is satisfiers, the other dissatisfiers. That means the factors that leads to motivation, this first factor. The second factor, the factors that that demotivates an employee. They are also called as hygiene factors. Okay, now let's see what are the motivators: performance, achievement, recognition, job status, responsibility, growth opportunity, and personal growth. So all these factors makes the employee work harder. Okay, so you have to define these points. You have to write few sentences for each point. And what are the hygiene factors? Salary, working conditions, relations with colleagues, relation with supervisor, rules and policies, and job security. These are dissatisfiers. These factors leads to demotivate an employee to work or to pay attention to his work. So this is how you have to explain. The next question 5, part B, discuss the similarities and distinction or dissimilarities between the Maslow's law, Neet hierarchy, and Herzberg two-factor theory. Now, Maslow and Herzberg's both have theories on motivation. Let's see what are the similarities. 8 marks question. Now, the first similarity, motivation leads to performance. Okay, according to Maslow, and Herzberg also stressed on the same thing. Then human needs leads to motivation. Okay, human desire, human needs, and Herzberg also opines that human needs leads to motivation. Now let's see the where are the differences between the two theory of motivation. Now Maslow, he classified needs into higher order and lower order needs, whereas Herzberg classified needs into hygiene and motivators. Fine, very simple. Then according to Maslow, unsatisfied needs cause motivation, whereas Herzberg said that satisfied needs cause motivation. So that's very easy because I have written it in a very, very simple language to understand. Then according to Maslow, it has a wide scope, and according to Herzberg, it has a narrow scope. Okay. The last one is it is applicable to all the individuals, like all the persons. This Maslow's, that means its scope is very wide. It is widely applicable. Whereas Herzberg theory is not applicable to all the individuals, rather it is only applicable to the professionals. Right. Let's move on to the next question, and this is question number 6, part A. Okay. Now the question is, do you think that job design is essentially a strategy of human resource management? Justify and discuss the models of job design. 20 marks question, 6 plus 14. So there are two parts of this question. One is importance and the other you have to write about the models of job design. I've written one simple definition of job design. It is a complete written instruction describing in detail the task to be accomplished. Okay, so by this definition, you can have a meaning of job designing. Now let's see what are the importance. Why job designing is important for an organization. It clarifies the tasks and roles, right? The second one, it avoids conflicts among workers. Third, proper placement of employees, right man at the right post. Fine. Fourth, better control. And fifth, it provides motivation. And sixth, better quality of work. And seventh, it minimizes stress. So this is how this job designing is so important, so indispensable for an organization. Fine. Let's move on to the models. What are the important models of job designing? I have written here five. First, task characteristic theory, which is based on job satisfaction and absenteeism. So you just note down these key points and try to explain your answer. Then second, job characteristics model. Now this model generally is based on skill variety, task identity and performance, right? The third one, motivating potential score model. Fine. Fourth, social information processing model. And fifth, employees developmental model. So you just write few lines about these models. Okay. And let's see the last one. Question number 7. Do you think that individuals and different groups in the organization use variety of power tactics to obtain power? Discuss and explain the sources of power in an organization. Again, 20 marks question. Let's quickly see what are the tactics or process of obtaining power. First, friendliness. With lot of friends, you obtain power. Second, networking with powerful people. Okay, having relation, having friendship with powerful people will give you power in the organization. Third, coalition. If you are making partnerships, if you are making if you are having coalition with other organization or unions, then you get power. Then by pressure. Actually, this is a forcible method. If in fact, generally, we can use pressure by with the help of trade unions. The employees can create pressure on the organization. Then making oneself irreplaceable. That means someone is with extraordinary skills or talents. Okay, and the company will find it very hard to replace that person with other person. So that will make him gain power. Fine. Now, what are the sources of power? The sources can be divided into two parts: formal sources of power and informal sources of power. And in the formal sources of power, again, we can divide this into four categories: legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, and information power. Legitimate power, that means the power that automatically flows due to the job position. And reward power, generally, the organization gives this power on the basis of the performance of the employees. Coercive is generally by pressure. Okay. And information power, that means if due to information the employees get some type of power. And informal, they are not a part of organizational power sources. Generally expert power, reference power, and power by special skill or personality, which is also called as charismatic power. So we can define these points uh, to make the answer lengthier. Okay, fine, friends. That's all in this video, and I'm sure this video is going to be very, very useful to you all. And I have just left the short notes, right? So there are every chance you will get uh, like 2, 3, 4 questions from this previous papers. So kindly revise your lessons properly. So with that, see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care.